Hello, I'm Dr. Michelle Dowdy, and today I want to talk to you about what you need to know about the coronavirus. Prevention Tips 101. The reason why I decided to provide you with a brief video and overview related to the coronavirus is because there's been so much panic in the United States and across the country, and also for good reason. Coronavirus can be deadly if it's not diagnosed in a timely manner. So please join me, and I hope you learn something. What is the coronavirus disease? The coronavirus disease is caused by a virus named SARS-CoV-2. You have known it as COVID-19. It means severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus disease. The 2 stands for the second subtype because the first subtype was diagnosed in humans in 2003. The virus has been stated to be zoonotic in nature, able to spread from animals to animals and also animals to humans. So camels, cattle, cats, and bats have been known to carry the coronavirus. Research shows that there are 3 viruses that have their origins in bats, and they're called beta coronaviruses. The severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 1, Middle East respiratory syndrome coronavirus disease, and what we know today as COVID-19. There exist a total of 7 human coronaviruses identified in the United States and the world. They all cause upper respiratory tract infections from mild to acute as well as the common cold. So these particular viruses are not uncommon. However, COVID 2019 has the greatest impact in terms of mortality. I wanted to show you a picture of the actual virus so you can see why the virus is known corona. It has a crown-like shape. The coronavirus name stems from the crown-like projections on their surfaces. Corona in Latin means halo, a crown. The generic coronavirus's genome is a strand of RNA, a single strand, ribonucleic acid, 32 kilobases, and it's very long because 1 kilobase is 1,000 bases. So it is the largest known RNA virus genome, and it has the highest known frequency of recombination of any positive strand RNA virus. Therefore, the virus mutates and changes at a very high rate. And this is very important because you notice how rapid the transmission has been with the coronavirus. There is an update every second related to someone that has been diagnosed with the coronavirus. Let's look at the transmission of the coronavirus disease. The coronavirus disease can be transmitted from animals to animals and animals to humans. The research is showing us, as I had previously discussed, that there are 3 types of coronaviruses that have their origins in bats and are called beta coronaviruses. So all 3 types of those coronaviruses can be transmitted through animals. Transmission. What we do know is the first known case of coronavirus occurred in a 61-year-old man after being exposed to open markets in the capital of Hebel Province called Wuhan. Also, a total of 33 positive samples were collected from the western zone of the market. So in this particular market, there are nearly 50 types of animal and wildlife that are traded for human consumption, both live and dead animals. Wolf pups, foxes, rats, peacocks, rabbits, goats, and other type of wildlife, including the endangered pangolins, are traded for human consumption. Not a very sanitary area. Let's look at the epidemiology and some of the original cases of coronavirus. In 1937, the first isolated case of coronavirus was discovered in wild birds. The viruses were transmitted to live poultry stocks and it devastated the poultry industry at that time through this highly contagious infectious bronchitis virus. In 1960, the first evidence of a human coronavirus was discovered in the nasal tracts of those with common colds. These viruses, OC43 and 229E, are responsible for the common cold. However, they rarely result in a lower respiratory infection or fatalities. In 2003, SARS, or the Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome, appeared in southern China. It was also called atypical pneumonia. The disease was diagnosed in 29 countries with a 10% mortality rate. So out of 8,000 humans, a total of 774 people died, according to the World Health Organization. Let's continue looking at the epidemiology of the coronavirus. In 2012, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, or MERS, appears, having a very deadly impact with a mortality rate of over 30%. MERS still occurs today, unfortunately, and has been confirmed in 27 countries. Roughly 858 individuals died from the disease out of a total of over 2,400 cases. A key point is both SARS and MERS have been known to cross the species barrier from bats to humans, and MERS through cats and camels. That means the transmission has been known to occur through animals. In 2019, Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome (CoV-2), or COVID-19, was first reported in Wuhan, China. In 2020, on January of 2020, a 35-year-old man presented to an urgent care clinic in the Sonoma County of Washington with a 4-day history of coughing and subjective fever. He also disclosed that he had returned to Washington State on January 15 after traveling to visit a family in Wuhan, China. Let's take a look at the global impact of the coronavirus. Currently, there are over 117,000 cases of the coronavirus worldwide. And out of that, about 4,200 have experienced mortality. So you can see that there is a far greater reach of this COVID 2019 than there was for SARS and also MERS. And that's why many of the scientists and the medical community are really somewhat panicking related to the coronavirus. As you look at the global impact of the specific countries, you will find out in mainland China, there are over 80,000 cases with over 3,000 mortalities. So the highest rates of transmission are in this area of mainland China. Then you have Italy, Iran, South Korea, and then those other countries as well. But this is very important for us to understand because it shows us and pinpoints to us exactly how the virus could have occurred. The World Health Organization declared that the transmission of the coronavirus would continue to increase and it would move into the United States as well as other countries. We see that happening. But let's take a look at exactly what is happening today in the United States. So in terms of the global impact, currently They're a little bit under 1,000 confirmed cases in the United States, and there have been 29 deaths so far. What I want to point your attention to is the ports. You will see the highest prevalence around the ports where cruise ships have come in to California, where people do frequent travel. And so, California, New York, and Washington, you will see in these ports the color is redder because that means that there have been more cases in those areas. So let's take a look at vulnerable populations: older adults, pregnant women, those with serious medical conditions, cancers, heart disease, pretty much are at risk for the coronavirus. However, prevention is key. So if you're doing the right thing and taking precautions, you will benefit in the long run. Let's take a look at the symptoms and warning signs of the coronavirus. 2 to 14 days after exposure is really when you begin to feel some type of symptoms. Transmission is usually through a person that coughs or sneezes, and they do not protect themselves through a tissue or a napkin or some other means, and then that spreads into the air, airborne. Common signs of the infection include a fever, shortness of breath. You could have persistent pain or pressure in the chest, bluish lips or face, and you're confused. In a severe case, pneumonia has resulted in a severe acute respiratory syndrome where one of the persons that had contracted the coronavirus said he felt like his lungs were just setting on fire, were about to blow up. So these are some of the kinds of things that you really want to think about in terms of prevention. In terms of prevention, standard recommendations are to wash your hands regularly for 20 seconds. All meat and eggs should be cooked thoroughly. Avoid close contact with anyone showing symptoms of flu or respiratory illness. Avoid touching high touch surfaces such as door handles, or use your sanitizer for that. Um, Social distancing is something that a lot of the schools and colleges are doing, such as Stanford and Princeton. They have virtual classes. Clean and disinfect your house and make sure your pets are clean as well as their environment. Make sure that you're aware that in order to also fight these viruses, that you need to build your immune system. So follow good healthy habits. Add leafy green vegetables to your diet. Add carrots for vitamin A, citrus fruits. Lower your salt and sugar intake. Drink plenty of water and hot teas during this time. Make sure that lean meats and seafood are cooked properly. Get proper rest and exercise, and lower your stress. In terms of prevention, make sure you have your hand sanitizers. And here's a great way to do it because there's not many left in the market. 2/3 cups of rubbing alcohol, potency no less than 62%, 1/3 cup of aloe vera gel, and your favorite essential oil, whether it be peppermint, eucalyptus, or tea tree. Mix well and use as needed. Sustaining prevention is very important, so make it a daily habit to adopt proper washing techniques, practice healthy eating and exercise, avoid exposure to large crowds. Get medical attention immediately if you believe that you've been affected by the virus or you know someone that's been affected by the virus. And please put in place an emergency prepared checklist in terms of water, first aid, and some of those other kinds of things that you might need. I would like to provide you with some of the helpful resources that I've used to conduct research and provide to you today. National Institutes of Health, the World Health Organizations, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and some of these other types of journal articles are some of the things that you can look at. I always like to look at 3 resources because there's a lot of fake news out there. So make sure you go to the authoritative sources when you hear anything about the virus. I just want to say thank you, and I hope you've learned something today. Please take the necessary precautions and do the research. Avoid fake news at all costs.